Hey guys, so this is part 2, but if you haven't seen part 1, just go down to my channel and it should be right there. So anyway, let me get back to it. So anyway, this guy Paul, he left me for last. He said he was gonna drop me off. I lived far, so I knew he wasn't gonna drop me off to my house. But he was like, yeah, I'll drop you off to like the bus stop or whatever, or back to the college. That would have been fine. Like, after, we do whatever. But, we ended up doing whatever. And he ended up saying like, oh, he has to go. And that I have to find my way back or whatever. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, you said that you were going to drop me off back at the college. And he's like, oh, I can't. My mom is asking me to do this, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, great, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, forget it. At first, I was really shocked. I was just like, I can't believe he did that. But at the same time, I'm like, it's whatever. You know what? I'm just, lesson learned. I'm never going to do anything with him ever again. And he's an asshole, so I just don't give a shit. So anyway, I started to walk to try to go to the bus stop. And I was walking, trying to look for a bus stop to try to get home. And I remember this oh my God, it was like the worst night. I went and this guy saw me walking. He stopped his car. He's like, hey, do you need a ride or whatever? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm just looking for a bus stop. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's no issue. You look like a nice person. Like, let me just give you a ride because it's late. Because remember, like, we left the school at like 1 o'clock when it closed, so it's like probably like 3 o'clock right now. So he's like, oh yeah, it's late, I could just give you a ride, it's no big deal. And I went and I said, well, thank you. And I went in to get a ride. And I know I'm dumb. He could have killed me, he could have abducted me, he could have done lots of things or whatever. But anyway, I went in the car and he was like, oh, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm just looking for a bus stop or whatever. And he's like, oh, I can take you wherever you need to go. You don't need to go to the bus. I'm like, no, honestly, I just want a bus stop. And he was like, okay, what bus stop are you looking for and whatever. And I told him the bus stop I was looking for. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he started like, oh, what can I get for this ride? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, you can't get a ride for free and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I literally told you to leave me alone. And you're like, oh, you're a nice girl. Like, you should, you shouldn't be out there by yourself. He's like, oh, but no rides are for free. Like, what can I get? This, that, and the third. I'm like, you know what? You can drop me off right here. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then he stopped the car and I came out of the car. And I just remember just sitting on this person's lawn crying. I'm like, why does every person that I talk to just want to have sex and that's it? Like, I literally was just like, I can't do this to my life anymore. Like, is my life worth nothing? Like, it's just sex to them. It's just, whatever. Like, I'm not a prostitute. I'm not, this. Like, I was so upset. Like, really and truly upset. And honestly, I put myself in these situations all the time. And so I can't fully blame anybody but myself. Sorry, I can't fully blame anybody but myself. But it still made me feel so bad. Like, I was just like, there couldn't just be a nice person out there. Like, see that I'm just walking, trying to find somewhere or whatever. My phone ended up dying. I couldn't find the bus stop. I ended up at a check cashing place. They let me charge my phone for a little bit, and so I can find the bus stop. I finally found the bus stop. I eventually went home. And I was just like, honestly, after that, I think that's when I really went really, truly depressed. I went home, I cut myself, I drank, like I was so depressed. I was just like, I tried to make a change. I thought someone, liked me for liking me. Like, it wasn't like, hey, like, Paul, like, oh, you're cute, let's fuck. No, we were talking, we were having a conversation, we were laughing. I thought that it would be something different, not knowing that he just wanted his dick wet and that was it. And so that's how I wanted to change. Like, same thing with Scott. Like, we were talking, he was cute, we started doing stuff, we started, hanging out. He was nice, it was fine. Like, we ended it fine. We were still friends afterwards or whatever. I still saw him for a while. So, like, it was, but that's what I was trying to do. Like, trying to, like, not really, like, have a relationship, but just have a connection with somebody and still, like, get pleasure from it or whatever. And I was just so depressed. I was so depressed. And I kind of spiraled again. And after that, I went and I started fucking random guys again. And then I met this guy named Roger. Oh geez, Roger. I knew him from the lounge or whatever, but we started talking more and started hanging out more, and then we started hooking up. Roger and I started hooking up, and we hooked up for a little bit. And mind you, like, this is like I'm just in September, like maybe almost, no, like just in September. Like, it was like a couple weeks in college and this is all happening. And I'm just spiraling or whatever. So anyway, I met Roger. We started hanging out, Roger and I. And we started hooking up more and more. And one day, Roger came into the lounge with this girl. I was like, oh. And we used to play card games and like little things like that or whatever. So we were just there hanging out, and she introduced herself or whatever, and she's like, oh, hi, I'm this, I forgot her name. Oh, hi, I'm whatever. And later on when they left, I'm like, oh, who's that? To one of my lounge friends. And she was like, oh, that's Roger's girlfriend. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, here we go again. Another like Brian situation where they're cheating on their girl with me and things like that. And I was so like upset. I stopped texting Roger. I stopped talking to Roger. Roger came to me like, oh, why we stopped talking or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you have a girlfriend. You literally showed me your girlfriend. Like, you were. And like when I was there, like they weren't really like hugging, kissing type thing. They were just like, it looked like they were just friends or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, she's my girlfriend, but like we're not really exclusive or whatever. I'm just like, no, I don't really want to do this or whatever. So we ended up like stop talking for like maybe a week or two. But I was so depressed and so lonely and stuff. I decided to like, when Roger's like, oh yeah, me and her are not together anymore, I just believed him. I was just like, let me just believe him. But yeah, pretty much I spiraled and I tried to come back, but I just couldn't. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.